and are refusing to reopen the case. Tim Samuels has been investigating.
Why a British student violently died on a German road remains a mystery.
To suddenly turn into a terrified young man who's running away 5 or 4 kilometres in the middle of the night, supposed to be running away, what causes that?
The student who died was Jewish. He died after getting involved with an extreme right-wing group in Germany.
When I speak with family members, how I was then at that time, they tell me you were like from a different planet.
The Germans say the case is closed. Others are less sure.
I don't know what happened to Jeremiah Duggan, but I think it is incompetence to not investigate what happened at that meeting further.
Wiesbaden, a small town south of Frankfurt, renowned within Germany for its therapeutic spa water. But 6 days after arriving in this tranquil town, a bright, popular student from London died in very odd circumstances. Jeremiah, or Jerry Duggan, a 22-year-old student from North London. A former public school pupil, Jerry was academically gifted. Living in Paris, he was studying for 2 degrees at the British Institute and the Sorbonne.
He was somebody who had a zest for life, and he was very enthusiastic and loved literature and the arts and the theatre and music. He also enjoyed poetry very much, and I think he had a dream that he was going to be a writer.
He was somebody who had a fabulous career ahead of him, we felt, just by his attitude and his personality.
Last March, anti-war sentiment was running high in France. Jerry himself was deeply concerned by the prospect of war when he came across a group near the British Institute selling what appeared to be an anti-war newspaper, Nouvelle Solidarity. After a few meetings, they invited him to an anti-war conference in Germany. He decided to go along.
He said to me, I feel very strongly about it. And I said, well, if you feel so strongly about it, then you must do it. And you must go and protest. I didn't really know what was involved.
You know, while you're a student, these are the sort of world problems you try and solve, you know, seem natural to me.
Jerry headed to Wiesbaden, but this was no ordinary anti-war conference and no ordinary group that he'd unwittingly got involved with. The conference in a nearby town hall was being held by the Schiller Institute, a group inspired by Lyndon LaRouche and run by his wife.
And to build a larger and larger movement centered on a youth movement.
The latest offering in his perennial campaign to be president, his chances are less than slim as ever, not just because of his conviction for fraud, but something to do with his platform. Back on the campaign trail in the mid-80s, he told Newsnight the British royal family are global drug dealers. In relation to the Queen...
Of course she's pushing drugs. That is, in the sense of responsibility. The head of a gang that is pushing drugs, she knows it's happening and she isn't stopping it.
Yet LaRouche has built up a worldwide organisation with political parties, institutes, magazines, newspapers. Each promulgates his worldview, a view which those in the US monitoring far-right groups say is rooted in conspiracy theory.
The basic idea is that there's a core conspiracy that's destroying the world, and it has to be unmasked, and the followers of the one true leader are the only people who are being taught in a way that will allow them to confront this vast conspiracy.
The British are far more evil than Adolf Hitler.
Britain at the heart of a global conspiracy. It's tempting to dismiss Lyndon LaRouche as just wacky Americana, were it not for the fact that Jerry Duggan had been at one of his conferences just before he mysteriously died. For Jerry's parents in North London and his girlfriend in Paris, their last contact with Jerry was a series of phone calls whilst he was in Wiesbaden. He left for the conference on the Friday. On the Saturday night, it was his father's birthday.
But he just said, sorry, I can't be there, and, you know, he just sounded fine, so...
But something seemed to be changing in Jerry. When his girlfriend Maya spoke to him 3 days later, on the Tuesday, he said he'd learnt something very serious, but couldn't tell her what. Jerry then called her on the Thursday at 4 in the morning.
La première chose qu'il m'a dit,
the first thing he said was he was under too much pressure.